Can we sidestep a little? Because one of the things you might have noticed, and I certainly have, is that Fox and Newsmax and all these shows have gotten really fucking boring because these guys don't know how to do anything except be paranoid and butthurt. And even Trump blames everyone like he's still on the campaign trail, like he's not president now. He's not taking any responsibility. That's not going to change anytime soon. He's going to be a whingy fuck. Anything that goes right, he's going to take 100% credit for. Anything that goes wrong is somebody else's fault. It's the weakest, shittiest, lowest res version of leadership, in air quotes, that you could possibly do. So they're boring as shit, and it's pretty hilarious. Well, there's a trickle down to that, as you might imagine, where Fox has gotten boring. Roseanne's just gotten nuts, increasingly nuts. Like, she's always been nuts, but she managed to work her way onto Trump's stage a couple of times by being, kind of just MAGA nuts instead of QAnon. Vampires are real, and they're among us. So saith Roseanne. This, I gotta hear. By the way, hit that like, share the show. It's Hal Sparks Maker Worldwide. Like, subscribe, give a thumbs up, support the show. Patreon.com/Hal Sparks. Also, the Venmo is over there if you want to buy me a cup of coffee. And you're like, I don't think you need one, Hal. By the way, I've noticed some comments in the last week about my energy level or my level of caffeination or something, which has not changed, I would like to say, for the record. What has changed is that I went, many people know I injured my shoulder, and I'm just now starting to rehab it back, and it's still smaller than my right arm, but it's getting there, and it's, and again, I have full flexibility, which is a nice thing, but it was rough for a long time. Yeah, no, I don't drink that much coffee. I honestly don't. But there's some sports medicine literature about hyperbaric chambers and oxygen therapy helping with injuries, helping to heal injuries. And I've been reading up on it because it's pretty, and I'm just trying to help my body through, and I don't want to go back to lifting really hard and re-injure myself. So I was looking at, okay. And then I found out there was a place nearby to go and do this. And so I've done it twice. I have a third session. I got it on Groupon. So I got it on Groupon. And I've done two of the things. The third one is on Saturday. And it's like these 60-minute, and by the way, I saw a physical therapist about this too. It's just they told me what I already knew, which is you just got to slowly work it back up. It's not the thing. But Michael Jackson slept in one was the thing. Anyways, and I think he tried it for a while because it helps you with your sleep, apparently. Always use a fresh hose. I agree. And they throw them out at this place. I have noticed that. Anyway, so who knows? I mean, after I leave, they might reach into the trash can and put it in the dishwasher. That'd be scary. But it's so anyways, I've done it twice. And what they say about the sleep part of it, I don't have problems sleeping anyways. I sleep like a baby. I'm up all night crying, and I often crap myself. I'm kidding. I sleep very well. I go to bed probably 9 o'clock at night, and Chip wakes me up at 5 a.m. Oh, sorry. The Venmo comes off there. If boink. How about that? And then move this guy out of the way. Thanks for bringing that up. So anyways, I've done it twice in the last week. I did it was it Thursday for the first time? And then I did it Tuesday, I did it Saturday and then Tuesday. That's what it was. And they didn't have time again until Sunday or whatever. Anyway, so I went and did it. And I was like, I didn't expect that I would feel anything in particular because it's not really topical. You know what I mean? It's not like, I don't know, like, it's like IV treatments or something like that. When you go there, it's fine. Anyways, I haven't really noticed a huge difference in my shoulder yet. Not that I would after two things. Apparently, it takes a little while, and that makes sense. But like after 3 treatments or so, it should help me out a little bit, right? And anyways, point being, the only thing I have noticed is people going, "Jesus Christ, you have so much energy." And you seem to be like, and I've been very industrious the last couple days. I have been like it. I don't know why, but it made me start like organizing. Wow, 9 p.m. bedtime. How do you do your shows? Well, I do. Obviously, my sleep schedule changes when I'm on when I have a comedy show at night or the Jam or something like that. So I shift my sleep schedule the night before. So I stay up later, sleep in more, and then I shift my waking hours easily over the next couple hours. That makes sense. So, anyways, you need energy for that show. This is true, Lavender. But anyway, so that I've noticed people. I've been talking fast lately, and that's the only thing that's changed. Because I've actually been drinking less coffee. I mean, I make summer coffee in the morning, but I don't drink it myself. Does that make sense? I drink a hydration drink in the morning. I don't drink coffee right out of the gate. There's this drink, because when you're on the carnivore diet, you can, in the very beginning of it especially, it throws your electrolytes off because you're used to getting them one way until you start processing them another way. And so a lot of keto people get the keto flu, and the reason they do that is because their electrolytes get off, right? And anyways, so in the process of that, like there's this drink Hoist that is pretty decent, and there's like Element, which is a lot of people push that or whatever, but whatever, it's just salt, yeah. But anyway, so so I had those in the beginning of when I was shifting to the carnivore diet to get my kind of, and I never got the keto flu because of it, right? So I think the reason I never got the keto flu in that process, or the meat sweats or whatever it was, the reason I didn't get that is because I took electrolytes. I made sure my electrolytes were balanced, and I did it. I pay attention to my body, and I transition through those things, right? So, anyways, that's it. Do you do the butter coffee? I have done. Did you drink the butter coffee thing for a bit back then? Yeah, I do on occasion, and when I do have it in the morning, that's what it'll be. Yeah. I'll usually have bulletproof coffee in the morning, if I have coffee at all. Yeah. Anyway, so most of the time, though, I do just one of those like Hoist hydration drinks or the Element ones, because it's, I enjoy it, but Brondo. It's what plants crave. I don't do Body Armor or Prime or Gatorade because there's too much sugar and too much, they're too chemically. I don't drink anything that has a color in it, if that makes sense. That's my primary one. Right? Oh, thanks. What would I give? See this other house roast of Glenn Beck to be shown to Glenn. Hugs to Caleb. I will give him a hug, Ben. Thank you. Love the facial hair. Thanks. All right. That's a good sign. I've never really grown it out because people freak out when I change what I look like. But since I grew my hair long, everybody's in a state of freak out anyway. So I figure, what the fuck what does it matter now? Right? Yeah. So point being is that that's the only thing that's changed in my material life in the last week. And I've noticed people going, telling me to ease off caffeine in the last little bit. And the only thing that I've done any different than any weeks before was the fact that I did this hyperbaric oxygen chamber twice in the last week. And I'm going to do it a third time on Saturday. So just a heads up. So I guess I'll do it after radio. So maybe it'll start to wear off at that point or something. Maybe that'll be it. I don't know. Anyways, it's supposed to help with the healing of the tissue in my shoulder and yeah. So I'm like, okay, that'll work. That's it. All right, news update. Too personal? Don't care. All right, now, actually, I'm sleeping in a coffin in the dirt, with the dirt of my homeland sprinkled in the base of it. Why the? So this is Roseanne. Vampires are real, and they're among us.
But then you think about the Statue of Liberty and all that. Thinking about all that and going down that rabbit hole. Why are we brainwashed from birth on?
Oh my God, we're so brainwashed by the Statue of Liberty.
Our first breath, we're brainwashed.
Is that when you talk about?
Sorry, our first breath, we are brainwashed. Well, if that's the case, then we're never brainwashed because we live in an environment and a society of brainwash. That would be that to be brainwashed. There has to be an other side to it. That's a constant state. And whatever. This is stupid. I don't even know why.
Statue of Liberty. You'd done that on one of these episodes where someone was talking about how it was a symbol of Satan or something. And we talk.
Yeah, probably. Yeah. That's what I always think when I see it. I'm like, obviously a pagan goddess. It's Aphrodite.
Is that what you're talking about? I don't remember.
Yeah, there's so much out there to read about it.
Yes, there's a ton to read about it, and the French gave it to us, so you know it's like a big fertility statue. Boink, boink.
Is it a symbol of Lucifer? Because that's the light bearer.
Yeah, but Lucifer was an angel, and he's a dude. All the angels are male, which should tell you something. All the bad ones, anyways.
Yeah, she has the torch.
But she also has this one chain around her 1 foot, which is connected to the chain around another statue's foot. That's Lucifer or some crap,
Or some crap. Yeah, it's a chain. If you pull the chain, she takes a crap.
All they do is make idols and have rituals.
Really? That's it? I mean, we certainly have a lot of sports stadiums. If that's is that just a distraction? Probably.
On certain days.
You mean like Sunday or?
And they
Saturday?
are very reptilian.
Is there someone outside? Also, she doesn't look like a reptile. It's the weather that turns the statue green.
They can't help themselves because they need certain things to live. That's
sure. I feel like I need certain things to live. Freedom, the occasional touch on the hand from my beloved, the gleam in my son's eye when I see him proud of his accomplishments and happy about the potential for his life. And of course, a cloud on a warm day, you old poop.
what the whole vampire story is about. Why do you think that's so? Why do you think that's so popular?
Because it's a decent allegory for people like yourself that suck the life out of their fellow human beings.
Yeah, all lore.
Vampire story from
Yeah, that's why all lore exists. It's all a way to get the devil into your soul.
Hollywood and all of that. It's always the sexuality of the vampire, the seducer. They always do that.
Well, yeah, except that he's ultimately ugly, and the point is that good-looking people can be evil, and seductive people can lure you into a terrible thing. It's a cautionary tale for that very reason. And to all the ladies out there who are like, I love me a vampire, sexy story, Twilight, whatever, I'd like to remind you that vampires are undead, and their skin is as cold as a corpse, and they don't ever warm up. Also, it allegedly has a tacky, dewy, squishy texture on the outside of it, like a jellyfish that's been left, on a counter after being in the fridge.
Yeah.
According to the lore, which is incredibly sexy.
I mean, because it's for real.
Yeah, they're always sexy, vampires in Hollywood.
No, they're not always sexy. No. I mean, look, I'm not here to yuck anybody's yum, but Nosferatu looks like shit. I know Stephen Miller's going to be mad at me for saying that, but I don't think anybody finds him attractive. Nosferatu, that is. And the same thing is true of Dracula.
Which is very telling. It's never like some disgusting old freak.
No, that's the point. It is a disgusting old freaky thing. It's an illusion, and that's how they lure you in. That's the story they're telling, fuckwad. That's the point.
Ish vampire, you know what I mean? We talk.
Yeah, it is. They always turn into that. That's the point. When the sun hits them, that's when you see their true selves. It's an allegory. How the rich and the powerful might lure you into their castle with promises of food and fine wine and all this stuff, and they have very fine clothes, and they're very learned because they've been alive for 600 years, but they'll actually fucking kill you. That's the point. Again, if they were an ugly, gross monster, they couldn't lure you in. They'd just be a different kind of monster, dummy. It's like zombies. Zombies used to represent communism, okay? When they first came out, the idea is they're going to eat your brains, which is the one thing that makes you an independent, individual human being with your own dreams and hopes and all that kind of stuff. And they want you to be a useless worker, and so they would jump around. That's why they all moved slowly, because they couldn't be bothered to work, right? That was the thing. They were just punching a fucking clock. That's what the old zombies. The new zombies in 28 Days Later represented like stampeding and rioting poor people with blood diseases like AIDS. So they represented like three fears of the sort of middle class of what was how the end would come. It would come with like street kids throwing Molotov cocktails who had AIDS, right? That's what that was, just a stack of fears. And the reason they ran was because it was about the madness and incivility of it. It's why, like, the new vampires are about, like, vampirism used to be a curse that seemed good at first, and then it became torture because you can't die, and to stay alive you need something awful. All these stories are warnings. Yeah, look at the Lost Boys, for fuck's sake.
About that all the time. Yeah, no, there's conditioning. I think that the vampire movies are.
Yeah, to make it sexy, like, hey, it's cool when somebody's tempting your soul. Somebody's trying to get you to get addicted to something and do wrong.
Jesus Christ. Have you read a Bible story, you dipshit? Like, that's all. What do you think the Antichrist story is? The Antichrist story is where the vampire myth comes from. That and blood disease called erythropoietic protoporphyria, which is a disease where your skin cracks when you are in sunlight. And they used to think that if you ran out of blood, you could just pour it into your mouth and it would go back into your veins because people were fucking stupid. So they would feed kids with this particular disease. There was a lot of inbreeding in Romanian and Czech areas of Eastern Europe. They would just make them drink blood to try and fight their anemia, right? And that's, you guys don't know that? Erythropoietic protoporphyria. It's my safe word, but it's true. But the other thing was, it's the Antichrist. It's another version of the Antichrist. The Antichrist is very handsome and charming and well-read, knows the Bible and the scriptures, right? Is beloved, right? And tricks everyone. That's the vampire story. Because if it wasn't a vampire, it'd be the Wolfman, you dumb motherfucker. Ugh.
And go against your best options in life. That's sexy.
Sorry. I don't think the tale of vampire stories is that it makes you take the second best pathway in life.
He's really fucking with your ability to stay alive, ladies. Woo, that's hot. That's how dumbed down they got it. That's how evil. They got us that up.
And then what do vampires live off? What do vampires live on and require in the lore? Human blood.
In the vampire lore?
Yeah. Blood.
And spirit.
Yeah. No. In the lore, it's blood. In your life, Roseanne, you are a spiritual vampire. You suck the life out of people by being around them. You diminish the room you're in, bore and scare everyone around you. You are toxic to be around, and that's what a social vampire is.
Because they say, well, blood was code for human spirit.
Or it could just be blood. I think people are just worried about running out of blood.
Because, of course, they don't have any human spirit. So
Right.
they're looking to suck that out of somebody else.
Look, this whole experience, Roseanne, of covering your clips has been soul sucking. But I, the great thing about me is I got tons of soul to go around. You know what I mean? I'll never run out. Doesn't give you an excuse though.
Yeah, it's what
Dumb was what she's saying. Yeah, it's dumb. You're being dumb. She's being dumb. You're both dumb. This is fucking stupid. This is ridiculous. You're both being fucking. You don't even understand the concept of horror allegory. Jesus Christ. You think the Hansel and Gretel stories are the fucking grim fairy tales where little kids got, coaxed into a house by the smell of pie by an old witch and then cooked and killed was pro-witch, you dumb motherfucker? It was a cautionary tale to keep your kids from straying off the path on their way to school so they wouldn't get raped or killed or abducted or enslaved. Stupid. Or eaten by an animal.
But it also could mean blood. Could mean blood.
It could, but you're right. Blood could actually, it could be not blood, could be, an allegory, or it could be actual blood. We don't know, having seen all the fucking movies and shows and read the books.
Well, in the vampire lore, it's literal blood, that they bloodsuckers from your neck, and that's how they stay young. And I mean, when you actually look at it, you're like, holy shit, they've been showing us all along, and we thought it was...
Also, they don't stay young. Youth is about the newness of the soul, not about the newness of the body. And that's what the torment of the vampire is. Their body looks the same, but their spirit, their internal idea of the world withers them. That's why the idea is that the seeking for eternal life in and of itself, if anything, the real story behind the vampire myth is that seeking to extend your life beyond the natural line is wrong. It's a cautionary tale against it. It's the same as, and it comes from what, like, Fountain of Youth, people looking for the Fountain of Youth and that kind of stuff, that if you actually got it, everybody would die, and therefore wouldn't it be miserable, as if you wouldn't invite them all to, hey, I found it, everybody here, come here and have a sip. But the same thing is sort of true about, again, I don't even know why I'm bothering to argue this with these assholes.
How long have I been saying that?
We've been saying, well, you've been saying it for a long time. I only noticed this after talking to you.
The first time I knew it was for true when I read Anne Rice's Interview with the Vampire.
You didn't read Interview with a Vampire. You didn't. What you mean is you remember when the book was popular. Or you saw the movie.
That's when I knew that it was all true.
Yeah, I felt the same way when I read Horton Hears a Who.
Yeah, it is true.
She's such a great writer.
By the way, it's not true. It's not actually true. There's not actual vampires. They don't actually live. They don't drink blood to stay alive. And they certainly don't all wear French fop shirts from the mid-century. And, I don't know, have blue eyes.
I don't like how she went way out there too far for me. But
she converted to Christianity. What are you talking about?
That book was incredible.
Yeah, in what way? Was it the ending or the middle, or what was the part you liked? What was the part? What was the best part of the book? You read it. Allegorically, there must have been something in there, in the story, where they realize that it was fucking hell.
Well, vampires need human blood to survive and to stay young.
Oh, so you have read it. Man, this guy's good.
And they lie and they coax you, and it's
And
like
they can't be in the sun. They can't have no sunlight.
and they have
They
no
can't
reflection.
have transparency.
Yeah.
No. Again, you know why vampires don't have a reflection? Is because they use magic, they use their undeadness to eliminate their reflection, because mirrors would show their true age. They can convince humans that they're young and they look normal. But if you see them in their coffin, or if you saw a true reflection of them, if you saw them in a mirror, you would see their real face. So they don't have mirrors. That's where that story came from. It's not that they don't have a reflection or they don't cast a reflection. It's that they don't have mirrors in their house because they don't want to see what they look like. Fuck me.
No reflection.
No reflect. They definitely have no self-reflection.
There you go.
Yeah, that's the thing. I mean, that's the thing about vampires. They're all busybodies. They don't have any time to do any navel gazing and think about themselves except hundreds of years when no one's around.
Change what a vampire is. It's just somebody who wants to look a certain way so they can get their
Penis in you?
victims,
Uh-huh.
and then they'll cover it up for them because they're.
Who will? The victims will cover it up for them? So maybe they don't feel victimized. I mean, I've often, I got some sharp teeth. I've often been, said that I favor a vampire and don't age like other people. And this whole carnivore diet, I think, probably makes me suspicious to some folks. But no, I mean, I will say that in my life I have been guilty of trying to coax people into my life as opposed to just, I don't know, snatching them off a fucking train or something.
They're good looking, famous enough, and they make
That's what that should be on my tombstone. Good looking, famous enough.
enough money for bigger vampires that, they can get away with murder. They can
Sorry, wait a minute. When did I become like a middle management or a vice vampire? What?
kill their wife or whatever, get away with it, out there.
And you
in
notice
Hollywood.
they're always wealthy. You've never seen a movie where the vampire is poor. It's like, hey, I'll work for blood. They're always in a big mansion. They're always very Harvey Weinstein.
Oh my God, I should dress up. Remember that one time when I dressed up?
Okay, real quick. The Lost Boys weren't rich. And one of the reasons why they have a lot of stuff is because, this might shock people, but they tend to buy stock at a very low number. There's a lot of people that if they'd have just, killed some rich dude, drank their blood, took their house, and then took their money and invested it in something and just went to sleep for 50 years, would wake up fucking rich.
And I went and stood in Beverly Hills with that sign. I will
Work for chocolate cake.
Yeah, I will. Was it I will do comedy for chocolate cake?
I think it was I will work.
I will work.
I don't remember. It was the thing you did, so maybe you should remember.
I'll look it up. I will work for chocolate cake, I think you said. But anyway.
This would be like I would work for. No,
Blood.
I forgot the idea.
The point is, I think Hollywood's been telling us and showing us who they are for a long time through vampire movies and lore, and it was their...
Sorry. Are you saying the vampire stories are real, but the rom-coms and cop movies, that's just distraction? The superhero movies, the fucking, On Golden fucking Pond, the Pelican Brief, that they don't do anything. That's just fodder. That's just fucking cantaloupe in the fruit salad. But the vampire movies, that's also, why would they? Why? If you are that thing, why? Why draw attention to it? And why make yourself into a monster? Right? Yeah, Star Trek, right? Marathon Man. What? The Fast and the Furious movie? What are you talking about? We're supposed to forget all the other kind of movies? But Space Jam is real, absolutely.
Version of getting consent, because none of us, we talk about consent all the
Yeah,
time.
they.
I'm sorry, you voted for Donald Trump. You can't talk about consent.
None of us said, hey, this is freaky. We're like, ooh, they are sexy. Oh, vampires are cool. I'm going to dress up like a vampire for Halloween. And Hollywood's like, let's keep raping kids and sucking their blood and making movies. And we just went along with it. And it was only till like last year where we were like, holy shit, they were asking and forcing consent to do this because they really do this.
No, they don't. And no, they weren't.
We're going to lose our YouTube.
Hold on. Jeffrey Epstein and Puff Daddy don't get to overlay onto fucking Hollywood because of 0.1% of the topics that Hollywood covers.
Monetization.
Well, a very small percentage of them do it. I mean, a very small percentage of them do it. However, in the larger sphere of things, and people.
Yeah. Obviously, the different industries like insurance.
At the very tip top of things.
Mm-hmm.
It's just.
Yes, the elites of all industries. The people who run Carl's Jr. and the CEO of Sonic. And
Just an old pharaonic. It's just feudalism.
Yeah.
It's a pyramid structure, a pyramid scheme. And, there's a few at the tippy top and a lot at the bottom.
Okay. So vampirism is a pyramid scheme. And so you're saying that if I let them bite me, I won't get all those magic powers? Even though I will live forever and nobody can kill me except driving a stake through my heart, or, but I just can't go out in the sun again. But I can go to a tanning booth, apparently, because that's not the actual sun. So I don't know why I'd have to be so pale the whole fucking time. Maybe if you put a tanning lights inside the coffin and then hook them up to an Arduino board and then just like a timer. Nah.
And keep the lot at the bottom. You got to crush them. And you can't
Yeah. All the newbies that haven't fully turned yet, you just drink half their blood, and then when they get close and they're like, hey, I want to be a full vampire, you kick them out of the car in the sunlight and they turn into dust and you just snort them.
I told you that one princess I talked to, why the royals didn't like the Jews.
What did she say?
Well, because they started telling everybody all this democracy shit, and the people ended up with nothing. Way less than they had when they lived under, a decent king or monarch.
Okay, this. I mean, I guess it had to come to this eventually. So this is pro-monarchy screed, which is odd because there in the modern version of vampires, there's been, as like True Blood would be a good example of this. Is there's been kind of a push for normalization of them, blue collar vampires, as it were.
So they destroyed all the monarchies with democracy, which
fucking Jews. Right? When they should have just let the vampires run everything. What are you talking about, woman?
is like mob rule and the worst thing in the world. And, that's Marxism 102, when you paint mob rule as civility.
Wasn't that what the Bolsheviks did?
Yeah.
All right. The train has completely left the tracks. This is... her son is guilty of elder abuse. That's the only thing I can come up with. Or they're both high.
See, no one's ever put it like that. That's why I love you in the show. Like that's because
you should love her because she's your mom. I think. I don't know. I don't need a reason to love my mom. I don't know about you. And certainly, if I did, the reason wouldn't be you say the nuttiest shit, Mom.
A lot of people hate Jews because of the Bolsheviks. I follow a lot of the alt-right Nazi accounts, and they say this is the Jews behind all this shit. And I'm like, hey, I love democracy and I love Western ideals and I love Israel for that reason. And then they keep saying it, but I never really thought about it. Like, it doesn't work. Democratic republics work, but mob rule does not work. That's
never.
True.
Never.
Wow.
Sorry, really? I'm really glad the Mob Rule Act of 2023 didn't pass.
No, democracies are shit.
Yeah.
Democracies are, they love them because they all end up with, 3 families at the top and everybody else is starving. That's a democracy.
I'm sorry, and a monarchy's better because you have one family at the top?
Oh, you see?
All right, that's the end of the thoughts. It started with vampires, lovely, and sexy and exciting, and that's what they want you to think. And it ended with democracy sucks. That's why it's good that Trump is running things, because he's basically going to be a monarch. Even though I gotta say, Trump looks like when you see that when the sun starts to hit a vampire and he starts to melt. Yeah. I don't even know where. Again, part of this. Here's the thing. I always wonder what we can take away from some of these things. Right. That's the key. And the reality is, what we can take away from this is that they are so lost without a specific enemy, because all they need is an enemy. A lot of us, I think, were taking it personally, both on and that's what being offended is, taking something personally on someone else's behalf. And so I think a lot of the offense over the last 8 years, especially with Trump just in the cycle, has been that people have sort of given away their agency and their power because we're offended or feel attacked and take it personally when he attacks people and all this stuff. But in reality, he doesn't give a shit about us or what we want or what we do. He doesn't know the difference between democratic ideals and Republican ideals. He just knows there's an us and there's a them, and he just needs a them to exist. Right? And I think that's part of the lesson we have to learn, is that we've got to convince some of these idiots that we're not with them, but we're not the them that they're hating, and just watch them tear each other apart. And my example would be when Republicans attack rhinos all the time. If we're not there to be attacked, since all they know is attack, they go after each other. And there's an element of just kind of like letting it happen. And if you do have to step in to help people because there are material issues created by Trump and his ilk and the policies that they want to do, and you need to help the people that are going to be negatively affected, you do it in such a way that almost doesn't involve him. You do it on the state level and the personal level through charity and that kind of stuff, because it's only the only option we really have that has any point of power while they have the House and the Senate, right? But we don't allow ourselves to be dragged into fucking pissing contests or flame wars on shit or any of these things, because we're committed to the ideas that we like to talk about here, about like healthcare and solving things like homelessness and taking care of veterans and making sure that minorities have every chance everybody else does. Like, that's just normal to what we do. And when those people are attacked, we feel like we have to attack back on their behalf or on our own behalf if you're part of one of the groups that are being attacked. But the reality is, they only know their worth by whether or not they're being attacked. And so if you literally said, yeah, go right ahead, they wouldn't know what to do with themselves in some cases. Now, obviously, there are areas where you can't do that. You can't just bait them through like a bull with a red cape and you're just moving out of the way, because people will genuinely be harmed. But you can draw attention away from something else. You can, and again, this is where we talk about shoving the presidency down Trump's throat. What happened with the airline crash is terrible, and him blaming the previous administration is just fucking dumb. And getting out of a solution or blaming it on somebody else isn't going to work. And so people need to bother him with that. When he said he's got a healthcare plan and concepts of a healthcare plan, we need to be on him every fucking day. Let's hear it. I'm not against your plan. I don't know what your fucking plan is. Let's hear it. We're all ears, motherfucker. I would love to see your healthcare plan is really more functional than you don't have a fucking stupid healthcare plan, because then he doesn't have to show it because he's liking the rise. But if you're like, I would love to see it on paper, right? I want to see this written out. I want to see this plan that you have. I think everybody does, right? So I think what we're going to have to look at is in a situation where, and I've talked about this before, but in martial arts, in the arts that I've studied, they're not ubiquitous across anything, and people use different languaging. But my teacher used to talk about cutting angles, which is that you can't punch a tiger in the nose because the tiger is too big and it's got too much force because it's something straight at you. But its flanks are actually really soft. You ever seen the side of a cat? Its haunches are very big. Its neck is incredibly powerful. And even to some degree, its tail has a lot of muscle in it and its back legs are tough. But its ribs and its abdomen are quite unguarded, right? Because nature has put all of its force into one position. So when you're fighting something like that, you're going to cut angles. If somebody's just a fucking bulldog, you can't just punch at their shoulders and their neck and their head because they could just take it like the fucking juggernaut. The same thing is true in this situation. You have to look for openings. And one of the openings is these folks just need to fight with somebody. And if it isn't you, if you don't give them that fight, they will just go find someone to fight with. And it will be the first person they talk to. And the first person they talk to is going to be one of their own. And that's exactly what's fucking happening right now between the rhinos and the maggots. Now, I wrote that thing on my Substack about the stroke of the pen fallacy because I wanted to get that on paper. And so, or digital paper. But you know what I mean. So that it could be pretty clear. But the stroke of the pen fallacy, even if I put it out there and explained it to people, not everybody's going to understand what it is and not implement it or not get pulled into it, okay? It's crucial that you know that even with the best information and the most information you get, a lot of people aren't going to act on that information, okay? And so even if I told all the maggots in the world about the stroke of the pen fallacy and, you know, they're not going to let Biden off the hook or suddenly think differently about Trump or something. And even Glenn Beck tonight in his clip, seriously, in the Glenn Beck, I want to see the paperwork. Remember that? Like he wanted to see the FAA paperwork. He doesn't believe Trump. He wants to see the paperwork because he doesn't trust anybody. That's what he said. Now it's full of shit. It's just because he's embarrassed because he looks like a dipshit. That doesn't matter. What matters is what he articulates and then what he does. Whether he's lying about it is immaterial, especially if he lies himself out over his skis, which is good for us and good for anybody who's pointing to his bullshit. Substack's like just like a writing site that I joined because of Political Voices, because we're going to be doing a tour with me and John Fugelsang and Frangela because Steph doesn't want to do it anymore. So we're going to go out, the rest of us, on a tour, and it's going to be around the Political Voices Network, which has Steph and Tom Hartman and Randy Rhodes and all these other folks. So we're building that so that we can go out that, okay? So the stroke of the pen fallacy is the idea that somebody magically has the ability to just sign a bill or sign a piece of paper or sign a check and automatically make the problem go away, which is never the case. And the people who believe it's the case will often end up hating the very people they support because they can't imagine why this person wouldn't just solve the fucking problem. It's right there. Even though that person will go, it's actually not going to work. That part's illegal and we can't do this because there's laws about it. There's a reason, blah, blah, blah. So and we're going to live stream those shows. I want to do all of them, but we're going to do at least one a weekend when we're out. That said, and thanks, Nikki D. So I wanted to put that together so people can understand how it's weaponized and how it builds this kind of nihilistic disengagement where people are like, if they won't do the easy thing, I'm out. They could just do this and this would all be fine. And if they're not doing it, it's because they're either stupid, but they can't be stupid because I just told them, so they must be evil. right? That's where that runs. So the reason I posted that is because I wanted everybody to be aware of not falling for it themselves. The Republicans, though, are still going to fall for it. They're going to be mad. They're not going to understand why the fucking prices go down. And Glenn Beck and Elon Musk, who are both rich, telling them that, well, prices are going to go up a little bit. Farm workers on farm workers and farm workers, right? They don't give a fuck. They were promised lower prices. And if the prices don't come down in the next fucking 90 days, they're going to get antsy. And if they don't come down in the next 6 months, they're going to get mad. And if they don't come back down by the fall and Christmas sucks, they're going to be on fire. And we don't need them turning to Democrats and going, Democrats have been obstructing this whole time. They've done a nothing but obstruction attitude. They're standing in the way of all this, and it's their fault. We need them to know that it's Trump's fault, and he promised them everything, and that it would be easy. That's the only conversation we need to have with these assholes. We don't need. I don't need to hear about which Democrats are being too nice or not nice enough, or back and forth about which like they let some people through or they voted against somebody, and the mid zone they should just stand. I don't want to hear any of that shit. There's way too much. Attention needs to be paid to the fact that Donald Trump promised everybody everything, and if he doesn't deliver on everything, he's nothing. That's got to be the conversation. End of fucking story. If that makes sense. The ICE hotline was shut down because everybody was reporting Elon Musk as an illegal alien. That's the stuff we could do. Because again, that's a great example. What about if people saw that? The ICE hotline being shut down because people were reporting Musk as an illegal alien, because they set the standard. All of them got to go, even if some of them are nice, and we got to pull babies out of the hands of their mothers, and it's going to be sad, and the new surgery, but we got to do it. That was Trump's sales pitch, right? We got to do it. Okay, motherfucker, well, there's a guy right next to you who came here and worked illegally and needs to be sent home. If that's true of anybody, it's true. Or if it's true of everybody, it's true of him. Punt that motherfucker, right? Because it's their standard. In those situations, you can go, well, they're hypocrites and they don't care. Doesn't matter. They create the weapon, you get to use it. Always and every time. And again, that's how you shove the presidency down his throat in that regard. That's what people were like talking about as a strategy. And it's absolutely right. Being president fucking sucks. Everybody ages prematurely because of it. And it's Trump's turn. It ain't a game. He's not going to be able to fucking golf his way out of this one. The last time in the 4th year, he had a fucking pandemic. And in his head, he's like, what's going to happen in my last year? It's this sucks. He didn't want to win it in the first place. He's just trying to stay out of jail. But now that he's in there, he's responsible for everything and everyone. I don't want to, if you're the greatest leader that's ever heard of, I don't want to hear you blaming anybody else for anything that happens from the moment you took the oath to the moment you leave the fucking office. By however means you leave. I don't want to hear it. I don't want to hear about the varying degrees of whether Dems are too nice or too mean or back and forth, or whether they should go, or what bill they should fight him on. No. The primary message, Donald Trump promised everybody everything, which means he's promised you something that you probably actually like. Debt ceiling comes to mind. Be on him about it. Like fucking daily. Letters. The Democrats should be sending letters to the White House, old-fashioned letters written on paper, specifically saying, I know you have a plan for health care. Here's a terrible situation that is in. This is, medical bankruptcies are, will go up if this, whatever. What is your plan? You need to tell us right now. And he needs to get thousands of those fucking letters. Anything where he was like, I got a concept of a plan. Well, pony up, motherfucker. That's where the pressure actually lies, because he hates it and he doesn't want to do it. And he knows he's a liar. Yeah, if he said I alone can fix it, then he needs to get letters every day saying, why isn't it fixed yet? Right? That's the point. I thought Ukraine was going to be solved in 24 hours and not by cutting their fucking funding. I thought you had a peace plan. You were going to get both of them on the fucking phone, right? That's what he needs to hear every day, the entire time he's in office, from everybody. The burden of the office should be on his shoulders like it has been on the shoulders of every president before him. Just because he chooses not to give a fuck doesn't mean he gets to dodge it this time. Instead of shouldering him with the realistic issues with what he does legally, shoulder him with the presidency. All other presidents have had to do it, except him. And Anthony's saying Trump doesn't read anything. I agree, but his people do. And they'll take it as a note. It doesn't matter. Again, the pressure of it alone has an impact. And again, and again, and again, and again. You want it, you got it. Nobody wins the presidency. You get a job. And in many ways, it is the worst and toughest job on the fucking planet. There is a certain amount of power and privilege that comes from it and that you can enact, but for the rest of your life, you are going to have 9 people following you to the toilet. Yeah, heavy is the head that wears the crown. Absolutely. And we need to make him feel the weight because he refuses to. If that makes sense. And, oh my God. How did this get here? Who put this here?
The kidney has a very special place in the heart.
Oh no. Hit that like, everybody. Love you guys. Thank you.